All right, we're live. What's going on, guys? Matty Ice here from Elite Broker, and I got an awesome training for you guys today. We're going to be talking about underwriting requirements and just things that lenders look for in when you send deals to them. Files like what exactly are they looking for? And what I want to do with it, my goal with this is actually kind of like a part two in a training series that I'm doing on the channel now for the business loan industry, where we're talking about joining or building a lender network. This one's going to be talking about underwriting and doing a little product knowledge and stuff like that. And my goal with this is just to give you guys as much information, as much knowledge as possible, so that you can have better conversations with business owners. Because the more confident you are on the phone, the more you know your craft, the more answers you can, the more questions you can provide answers to up front, things like that. It builds a really good relationship with these business owners, allows you to close more deals. So that's kind of my goal with this. Make sure you stick to the end. We're going to be covering some really good stuff here. My only ask, if you find the video helpful, please smash that like button. Make sure you subscribe. Also, drop some comments down below. If you have any questions as we go through this training here, I'll bring them up on the screen, and then we'll make sure we get an answer for you. So who we have here today is Kenny and Matt from Lenders Access. I actually did, if you guys remember, I did the training with Matt from Lenders Access. I think it was like a week or two ago about joining the lender network. And so they've been kind enough to give us their time again to talk about a little bit more product knowledge, underwriting, et cetera. So if you guys haven't watched that training yet, after this, when I go back to edit it, I'll put a link down in the description. Make sure you check that out. It's really, really good. And make sure you check out Lenders Access. It's an awesome program. We're having some pretty good success so far, and we literally just started. So really excited. Kenny, Matt, how you guys doing? Really appreciate your time today.
Doing quite well.
Yeah, doing great. Thanks.
Awesome, man. Cool. So what I wanted to start with, Kenny, so Matt, we kind of talked quite a bit last training. I'd love to get your experience, Kenny, because you're a part of, you work with Lenders Access, and you're in the underwriting department. Is that correct?
Yeah. So I was one of the co-founders of Lenders Access. Been doing this for about 12, 13 years now. My primary role is operations, running everything in the back end, making sure deals are getting offers, making sure brokers are getting those offers to pitch clients. Matt, I would say, tends to be on the assistance in terms of sales end of things, but I guess I'm the cog in the background, making sure that my team and my lenders are getting those submissions offers.
Gotcha. Okay, awesome. Let me ask you this, because I think, maybe I'm wrong in this, but I think that when people get started in this business, just based on the conversations that I have, I don't ever really get questions from brokers about underwriting and product knowledge and stuff like that. It seems to be something that's kind of overlooked in the industry. They're more focused on the marketing side, getting leads, closing deals, et cetera. Why do you think it's important for a loan broker, to understand at least the basics of how underwriting works? What's the benefit for them?
Well, it's good to preempt the entire process. Having those conversations with clients as you bring them in will set up expectations on funding timeframes. You can give them realistic ideas of what they're going to need up front, and have a better sense of when the money's actually going to hit their account. You'll have a better sense of, okay, we're going at 150,000 here, 250, 500,000. We're probably going to need tax returns. We're probably going to need P&Ls, balance sheets. You'll know that. It's not going to surprise you. And more importantly, It's not going to surprise them.
Right. Makes sense.
Yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong, surprises like that are oftentimes lead to losing the deal. Right.
Yeah,
especially if too many things come up, right?
It'll cause a lot of attrition. One thing that I've learned in 12 years of doing this is people don't like being asked for things over and over again, or a trickle down effect in terms of, okay, well, we got this now. Here's a whole new list of items that you need. Merchants typically don't want that. And we all know that you want to keep the merchant as complacent, as happy through the process as possible. So setting those goals and those ideas up front and what they're going to need to really get to the end is a good way of, you know, making sure you have retention with the client.
Right. Yeah, for sure. And what I've noticed is that business owners, they don't mind necessarily providing all the information and the documents and stuff like that. It's how many times we have to ask for this stuff, and oh, I didn't realize I would need to provide this and that, and just it seems like it just kind of creates this unprofessional experience, I guess,
I
and
agree.
which loses trust with the business owner, right? So if you know everything that you need up front, right, because you understand a little bit about how the underwriting process works, you're naturally going to create a better experience for the business owner. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. But one thing I want to make very clear is you're always posing, those kind of documents as a hypothetical. And the only reason I say that is you don't want to scare them off originally. Like, hey, we got 150,000 here, or we're looking at an offer probably of 150,000. I'm going to need a tax return. That's not necessarily true. A lot of these deals will close with a voided check and a bank statement and an ID.
Mm,
It just depends on the lender. It depends on the situation. So setting it as a hypothetical rather than a hard line fact is still good to preempt the client, but not scare them off. You're,
right.
you're putting the idea in their mind and making them more comfortable with the process and having realistic expectations, but
Right.
also not going, I'm going to have, year-end financials. You ask a client that hasn't signed an application yet for year-end financials, they're going elsewhere. So
Right.
always pose it as a hypothetical.
Right. No, that makes sense. So you're not scaring them off, but then it's not a surprise later on down the road if you end up needing that. It's kind of more
Absolutely.
like, hey, we've got everything we need, but like I mentioned, there was a possibility we might need this as well. It looks like they're
Mhm.
asking for that. That should be the last thing. Good to go after that, or
And one
something like
thing to note is when our offers go out, typically we're sending them with all the stipulations needed to get to the very end. Now, I can't guarantee that there won't be something in a final underwrite and a final review that the lender asks for later, but you're going to have a hard line list of items needed. We need XYZ and the deal funds.
that. Gotcha.
That'll go out with all of our offers. And if
Right.
anybody has any questions regarding those items, they're unfamiliar with them, we're only a phone call away. Our
Sure.
team will gladly explain all those.
Gotcha. Awesome. With that said, let's walk me through a little bit about how the underwriting process works specifically for lender access. So when a broker submits the application, which by the way, guys, again, go back to the first training where we talk about how lenders access works. What I love about it is you get access to a massive lender network, 150 plus lenders with one application, and then they match it with one of their lenders in the network and come back to you with multiple offers, obviously depending on what they potentially qualify for. So make sure you check that out. But yeah, Kenny, walk me through a little bit of the process. What happens after the client submits the application?
Not to go too retroactively, but the best way to get a successful application and a quick offer, and I'm sure you went over it in the previous training, is a complete application. Number one, as long as that information is there, we can be very, very quick. And it is a realistic expectation to say that we can do a lot of these deals same day. You are not lying to a client when we say we can have $50,000, $100,000 in their bank account today. Um, but that being said, one adage I always like to say is we can only go as fast as the merchant does. So if we get an offer and they want to close and we need a year of bank statements, that is entirely up to them. We
Right.
can't log into this, their account for them. So one thing to always mention to a client is, yeah, we can get you this money same day, but there's going to be a little bit of work that you need to do, and we can only go as fast as you go. So
Right.
let's walk through the process. We get a complete application, 3 months bank statements. I quickly go into, I chose 3 products that we do primarily, just so you guys know what the pre-submission stipulations look like and what makes those go fast. So let's talk working capital. All we need are 3 months bank statements and a complete application, which you guys have. Then we'll go into line of credits. Line of credits is 6 months bank statements, same application, done. Finally, we have equipment finance. They're looking for equipment finance. We needed the same application. We need the invoice or spec sheet of the product that they want to finance, 3 months bank statements, and a simple write up. I mean, 2, 3 sentences of what they're using the money for, why they need the equipment. Very, very easy blurb, basically to paint a slight picture of what their financing is going to achieve for them. I'm not
Right.
looking for an essay. The lenders aren't looking for an essay, just something that blurbs what they're going to be using it for.
Gotcha.
So that goes over the pre-submission stipulations. Going into the offers. So we get a complete working capital submission. It goes out to our lender network. We typically expect every application that comes in is going to go to our tier A lenders first. However, we're going to do a review of the file. Every single file that comes in, we're looking at the bank statements, we're looking at the application, all the data that's included on there to properly match that with lenders that we feel will properly offer on the file. Now, if we go in there and we look at the bank statements and we see a lot of negative days, or we see existing positions are lenders that are already in those accounts. So you go in there, you see canned capital, you see funding metrics, you're looking at probably needing either the balances on those accounts from the lenders if we're going to pay them off. If not, we can offer a third position and go behind those and get them a new loan that's full net to them.
Right.
Typically, this is all going to happen in a few business hours. You should see offers rolling in. Now, challenge files, it goes from tier A, tier B, tier C, and then we have our very, very high risk lenders that we send it to. So if you're looking at a deal that has a little bit more negatives than positives to it, it could take probably next business day, sometimes 2 business days to find an offer, because we're not, one of the ways that we retain our relationships with our lenders is not firing out every deal to every
Sure.
lender. Our,
Right.
our, our ratios would just be atrocious if we did that.
Sure.
But at the worst case, under the worst kind of credit, like 500 FICO, guy's got a couple negative days, he's in trucking. I mean, it could take a business day or so to find an offer.
Okay.
The bulk of files will see a same day offer, especially in the right industries, especially with a proper application.
Sure.
From there, sorry if I'm being long winded, you can feel
Oh,
free
you're
to
good.
stop me. Anywho, you get an offer, you get several offers. It's up to you, whichever one you want to pitch to your client, whichever one you feel fits. But we like to always say, put it all in front of them. We can always reformat offers sent to you to get redact commission. That way, it's a simple copy paste, however you want to do it. Matt's team is there also to help in closing. If you need help closing anything, you're not quite sure how to pitch a high rate MCA working capital deal. Matt's the master at it. He knows the
He's
tough
the man.
points of the file. Yeah.
And that's
Um,
real quick,
go
Kenny.
ahead.
Sorry to interrupt. I want to make or identify a point there. Is that when the offers go out, you're not sending them to the clients.
No.
You're sending them to the broker so the broker can present it to the clients.
Yeah,
Correct?
we act as a mechanism and a just an extension of your back office. We're there
Right.
to support you. We're not there to pitch your clients unless you want us to. If you feel that is a necessary component to how we work with you guys and your clients, absolutely, we'll help you there. But you
Awesome.
guys are getting the offers sent to you, not your clients. We firmly believe in broker client confidentiality. In fact, we would not be here if we didn't respect that with you guys.
Yeah. I love
So
that.
yeah,
I think that's really important.
absolutely,
Sending it to the actual brokers and then they take it to the clients versus, going through the back door to the clients and then who knows what happens at that point.
and unfortunately, it's a commonality in this industry. I'm sure a lot of you brokers have felt it before, and that is one of the very, very highlights of dealing with us is we absolutely give you guys 100% say over what happens with your client. whether us being completely out of the picture, in the picture, from soup to nuts too. So if you want us to pitch the deal and also help collect the stipulations from the merchant and explain that to them and get on the phone with a very angry client that doesn't want to provide a tax return, I love doing that, because chances are you guys are always the good guys. You leave us to be the bad guys. I'm happy to get on the phone with a client and say, hey, this thing's ready to go. I'm ready to push the wire out to you guys. I just need your tax return. 99 times out of 100, I'll have it in my inbox in 10 minutes, if or less. So
That's awesome.
that is a very beneficial point, having that second voice to be able to help, take away some of the, I don't know, the contention that a lot of merchants get during the process.
Right. Yeah, I love the back end support. There was something that you mentioned earlier. You're starting to go through some of the things that you need for certain types of projects, working capital, equipment financing, things like that. Is there? I'd really like to put something together. I started putting together these like checklists for product knowledge, but is there? Do you guys have anything like that where there's kind of a checklist of everything needed for each specific product that the broker can just glance at?
Yeah, I'd have to go back we have it's a little dated now. We had a broker handbook at one point, but the problem with that, and the only thing I say is the industry constantly changes. Underwriting
Sure.
guidelines constantly change. And we started putting together a very robust handbook, but we kept finding that we were just having to edit it constantly because certain things, certain requirements and stuff would change. As for pre-submission stipulations, we can absolutely get something out
Yeah.
because that's static. That almost
Right.
never changes, especially
Yeah.
when it comes to the requirements for our platform, which match up and correlate to what all the lenders that we work with need.
Right. That would
Our
be awesome.
application, we're happy to get any application in. So if you guys have your guys' own application and the data on the application at least matches up with ours, then we'll happily use yours. In fact, we have a system that will transfer all that over almost instantaneously to our application, because our application has to go out to our lender network because there's just predetermined data and points on there that we have to
Right.
have.
So if
And then
the
just
broker has their own application, you guys can instantly transfer it over to yours.
yeah, we'll
Okay.
just
I
take it
didn't know that.
so
Cool.
long as the data matches up. Now,
Yeah, as
I
long as the
see
data.
all the time, and this is very common, that certain data points will not be on those applications. Now, if you submit an application and we don't have one of those data points, almost instantly we'll have an email sent out to you guys requesting that information. As soon as you guys can get that in, we can proceed. But it is an important point of the product. Speed is having those data points completed as quickly as possible because our
Right.
lenders do need those.
Yeah. Okay. I love it. Yeah, Matt, I'll email you after this. I'd love to put together maybe like a spreadsheet or something with the pre stipulations. I think that would be a really good asset to have for brokers to use, especially if they're just getting started, so they know
Yeah.
exactly what they need to get up front.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Awesome.
One thing I wanted to say is a lot of you guys have already started submitting, and we love it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Part of this call is really honing the process and making everything hum a lot better for you guys.
Right.
There are just reasonable expectations on some files that we've had to switch up a little bit lately on freight, and construction particularly. We had to up our requirement on those deals to $50,000 a month, and we did that because unfortunately the default rates and the approval rates really have plummeted in recent times. So
Right.
if you come across specialty contractor, GC, transportation, freight, trucking, that's about the only hardline requirement we have as a pre-submission stipulation on those industries, is they have to be doing $50,000 a month in revenue.
Right.
If it's close, we can 30, 40,000, we'll take a look at it. So long as the time in business is over 2 to 3 years, then we have a pretty good chance. The problem is with COVID and the way everything happened, a lot of people went out and started trucking companies and freight companies, and they're all needing money now because
Yep.
the logistics are just a mess. So, you know, unfortunately, the entire lender network, and this is being felt unilaterally from, you know, our highest risk lenders to our SBA lenders. It's just very, very difficult to get those approved being under that kind of revenue.
Right.
But again, we'll take a look at everything. You know, don't
Sure.
ever hesitate to send us applications. If we get a quick decline, at least you know, at least we had a chance to take a look at it and give it a review.
Right.
But just don't get discouraged. Because unfortunately, those industries right now are probably the easiest to app because they're just so difficult to find approvals, and a lot of those merchants are
Yeah.
desperate.
Well, you know,
So
it's part of the business. I mean, you're going to get declines. It just,
yeah.
you know, is what it is. What happens with declines? Is there any way to, you know, is there any way to salvage it? Is there is there anything that you guys, or maybe you would recommend with declines? Is there a way to still monetize it somehow,
Oh
or is
yeah.
it one of those things just kind of put on the back burner? You follow up in 6 months.
No, that's a great question. So declines. Another really neat feature of having us with you guys is we track all the declines. So say you have a challenge file and it's got 13 declines. Well, if you get 13 declines in one offer, we can send you a table of all the declines, and that is your ammunition against the client in the closing process. So you'll see, okay, you know, you've got a 520 FICO, your trade lines are almost all negative. Um, you know, there's so many different lender responses that we get, track, and can send to you guys that will help and aid in those approvals. Now, outright declines, meaning literally no one approved it. That is also a segue into retaining a client. Um, Say they're negative every day in their bank account, which unfortunately we used to have lenders years ago that would do it, but you know nowadays if they're negative every single day in their bank account and pushing lots of you know NSFs, it's going to be pretty hard to find an approval if you're going to get one.
Yeah.
But it is a good segue to talk with the client and say, hey, in 3 months, and I know that seems like an eternity in sales, but if you've cleaned up your bank activity in 3 months or at least improved, and we don't have to send the lender these terrible looking 3 months, you know, we have a much better chance of retaining you and helping find you an approval. Declines are a very, very, you know, common thing in this industry.
Yeah.
And, you know, unfortunately,
So
the lay down clients are
it's really
the
how
most
you
common
position
client.
it. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, for sure. It's really
absolutely.
how you handle the decline that it can potentially lead to a deal at some point later on down the road.
We have had many clients that initially got all declines, and we made calendar, you know, uh, alerts to notify them again in 2 months and check in with them and see how their status has improved. And
Right.
we've funded people months down the road many times. So never think that a lead is just wasted or gone,
Right.
because it's not.
You,
You've established a relationship. You've got them to send you bank statements and their
sure.
personal information. You've
Right.
established a great rapport already. Don't let that
Right.
rapport go to waste.
Exactly. You actually just inspired me to create a 3 month decline follow up
Yeah,
automation in the lead broker now.
absolutely.
So because that's yeah, that's like I do onboarding for every new elite broker. Which guys, if you don't have a lead broker yet, what are you doing? Check out the free demo in the description. You got to get it. It gives you everything you need for marketing. You know, getting people into the pipeline, building these conversations so that you can actually submit applications. But one of the things I talk about that I mentioned sometimes is that you know this is a business where you are going to get declines, and it's really a relationship business where you've got to be following up. Even if they get declined, that doesn't mean they're going to be not qualified for their entire business. Like what you just said, Kenny. If you have this really good relationship with them, why would you throw that away just because they're not qualified right now? It doesn't mean they won't be in 3 months, and you get that's when you get your $5,000-$10,000 commission check or whatever it is, right? Is that worth following up in 3 months? I would say yes, but I guess that just depends on if you're in this business the long run or not. I don't know. That's just my 2 cents on it, and
Well, the other
it
thing
really comes down
too,
to the follow up.
is switching them to different products that we have. Like, you get a trucker that wants just a working capital loan, but he gets all declines. Well, hey, get that invoice for the truck he's looking for, and let's take a crack at equipment finance, because there's a whole
Right.
different underwriting criteria for equipment finance. A little bit
Right.
more work up front, getting a write up and an invoice from their vendor. But you know what? We might be able to finance that $50,000 truck they want,
Sure.
instead of just getting an outright, decline from working capital. So
Right.
there's always the idea that we can pivot, and move to a different product type.
Yeah, for sure. Let me ask you this, Kenny. Let's transition a little bit into you alluded to a little bit earlier about how elite brokers have, we've had a decent amount of people sign up with you guys, which is great. I'm really
Yeah.
excited that people are coming onto the platform and the network, and applications are being submitted. Is there anything that you would recommend, or is there anything missing with these applications that is common for holding up deals? Like, is there anything that any improvements you can see that elite brokers can make so far to help speed the process up or submit better files or whatever?
Complete applications are number one. If we get something with a missing digit on a tax or on a social security number, it's going to bog up the process. It's Having that data up front is everything. We can get those into lenders that require portal entries almost instantaneously. We can get them out to our lender network instantaneously and get the lenders doing what they do best, and that's reviewing the file. So that's number one. Number two, 3 months of bank statements, so long as you're going for working capital, is great. The one universal requirement that we have for bank statements is that they are at least doing 10,000 a month in their banks. So regardless of industry, I know we talked about construction, freight, and transportation being 50,000. If we get a nail salon that's doing about 2 to 3,000 a month, there's, at least on our platform, we don't have micro lenders that do that. We found the default rate was getting a little bit too high.
Right.
So we discontinued that. However, if it's close, $8,000 to $10,000 small restaurant, absolutely. That's up to us to decide. So do not turn down that application yourselves.
Right.
Let us at least review it, because maybe there is a chance that we can do it. Outside of that, as long as they're doing credit card processing, we can do a time in business as low as 3 months. 6 months to a year preferable. But if they have credit card processing and they're swiping or taking cards, 3 months is our minimum there. But so long as we've got the data that we need and we have the bank statements in their complete package, I mean, you guys are gonna get offers that same day, and so
Yeah.
long as the file doesn't have 500 FICO or less or something unforeseen. But that is something that we worry about on the back end, not you guys.
Sure.
You guys are basically fire and forget. Let us do what we do best, and that's find offers, that match each file.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it's so long as we have that, we're good.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's why having access to the lender network, to a lender network like this, guys, is so important, because it's not necessarily black and white. Like, you don't have to have exactly 10,000 minimum. If it's 8,000, maybe a little bit, like, there's other factors involved. And when you have access to a ton of different lenders and you know what those qualifications are, there's some wiggle room, right? And that can be a deal that you close and get funded that you may not have done so otherwise.
Yeah.
Not having
That's
access to that lender network.
Matt, you said it the best. This entire industry is a gray area. There is no black and whites. I mean,
Right.
every lender has criteria, yes, but criteria constantly changes. And it goes with the economy, it goes with several different factors. The underwriting guideline, like I said, when we tried to do an underwriting guideline handbook, it just kept having to get edited. So
Right.
we constantly keep in touch with our lenders to make sure that we know what the updated criteria is. That way you guys don't have to worry about it. That's on us.
Right. Yeah.
But
We just kind of have to know the basics, get
yep,
the
just the
basic stuff.
basics. Get us the app.
Yeah.
Get us the bank statements. Let us do what we do best.
That's kind of what I'm getting from this conversation, Kenny, is that, like, here's the thing, guys. My goal with this wasn't to make you experts at underwriting, right? But to know what do you need to submit a file so you get good offers very quickly, right? So that we're speeding up the process, because obviously the more applications you can submit, the more deals you're going to close at the end of the day. But it's going to make you more professional if you know the basics of how this stuff works. In case, one, if the client has questions, but two, like we talked about earlier, there's no surprises all of a sudden, like, oh yeah, now I need 6 months of bank statements, or I need your return or whatever, right? And that wasn't presented in the beginning. But up front, like the underwriting side, it's not, bank statements, probably knowing what they're, doing, like a soft credit pull or something like that.
All of
So
our
you at least know
lenders,
what that is.
all of
What's
our
that?
lenders are pulling soft credit inquiries. So if they're worried about credit pulls, tell them it's not a factor. Every single lender that we work with, and we've tailored it this way, do soft inquiries. There are some lenders that towards the end of, right before they fund, they'll put a hard inquiry on, just because they're funding them. They need that to be shown on their credit
Right.
report in some way, shape, or form. But as for the pre-approvals and things to that nature, no,
It's
all
a soft
soft
pull.
inquiries. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
One point that I did miss that is not only important to your sales process, but also important for underwriting to know too. What are they using the money for? Because it'll help you pitch the deal later on. Okay, this guy needs a $50,000 freezer because his just broke. But it also helps me legitimize the offer to the lenders. So when I tell them, hey, his freezer just broke, he needs a new one, they're going to look at that a lot better than, hey, he needs a new fishing boat and he wants to put it on his business.
Right. That makes sense. Yeah. So knowing the reasoning behind it, which,
Yep.
I mean, that's on you guys as the brokers to know that stuff. You're building a relationship with these business owners. You need to know everything about, what is the goal here? What do we need this for? What are we going to do with it? Even maybe going into what's the return on investment going to be going to look like, stuff like that.
Yep.
Let's see. I think that's. I'm going through my list of questions here. I think we covered just about everything. One other thing that came to mind that if we could touch on just real quick is so one of the things I love about you guys is that you'll help close the deal after the offers are sent. What does that process look like? Like how would a broker do that in case they don't know how to do that right now? Would they just reply back to the email saying, hey, can we schedule a 3-way call with my client to go over this stuff? Or what does that process look like?
I'm going to hand that to Matt because that's definitely his team that does that. I mean, I've gotten on the phone with merchants before and closed plenty of deals, but we have Matt's team doing that. So I'm going to give the floor to Matt there.
Awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. So as soon as you get the offer, which will come from Kenny in operations, then if there's any questioning or you just don't know how to sell it, then yeah, just a quick email or a call and say, I want to schedule a time with the client. Typically just a 3-way call. So you have the client on the phone, you grab me on as the lender, and then I could break down all the declines, all the reasons, if there's any issues for the industry itself, and then go into, hey, but we do have an approval and here's what it is, or we have 2 or 3, whatever it is. So yeah, absolutely. As soon as they get the offer, we can do a call immediately.
And Matt, would you say a good way to set that up, like if we're talking about what does the broker say to the client in order to set that up so that it doesn't seem like they don't know what they're talking about or they don't know how to sell it or whatever, or present it? It would be something along the lines of, look, we got multiple offers here. I'd like to do a 3-way call with the lender so that we can go through all the details or something like that. Like how would you normally position that?
Yeah, typically what seems to work is they say, hey, I'm calling to get some updates. I'm going to pull the lender on. So they may not even go over the offer unless they feel confident they can do it. So then I come on the phone, I go over all the 14, 15, 20, whatever declines. Here's the reasons. I said, the good news though is we have X. And then I go into it. Now what works is the broker gets like, are you kidding that? That seems like it's, he's basically on the customer side. And
Right.
I'm, once again, like Kenny had said, the bad guy. But when they get off the phone, they're like, hey, you didn't tell me about your BK or your legal issues or your negative days. And then they massage it a little bit with the customer. And then, probably 8 times out of 10, they'll come back and go, yes, let's do it. And or he'll tell me, it sounds good, let's do it. And we can close it right then.
Gotcha. I love it.
Second voices are extremely, extremely valuable. And we are always there to be that second voice, especially, with tough sales. or, you know, somebody that's in the underwriting process that just doesn't want to give up that last document that they need to find.
Right.
Just
Right.
invaluable tool for your quiver.
Sure. And it almost legitimizes the process even more. So like if there's any lack of trust or whatnot, oh, now he's bringing on the actual lender.
Yep.
It just legitimizes it even more. So there's a lot of, I don't see any cons to doing that at all. That's awesome. Good stuff. Let's see. Yeah, I think we went through everything that I had here. Is there anything else that you guys want to cover, share with the brokers? Anything that you think we missed?
No. One small bullet point is, you know, say if we get to an offer and it's ready to go, the only other expectation that we have that we don't require for, you know, pre-submission, the way to get contracts is a voided check and an ID, copy of business voided check that is of the same account that you submitted for the submission, an ID, a copy of their ID, doesn't need to be front and back, just needs to be the front, and email address that we can get docs out to directly to the client. That's it. So you get an offer you want, you know, we'll have you contracts. Depends on the lender. Typically they're almost instantaneously. Sometimes they take an hour or so, but yeah, that was the only bullet point that I left out. But you know, it's very quick for once we get an offer sold, you have docs go out, they sign pretty quick. I mean, things go very, very rapidly at that point.
Right. Okay. Good stuff. So, really good training, guys. I think this, you know, all these little things, man, they really add up. Knowing how to do your marketing, knowing your products, knowing a little bit about the underwriting process. It's just all part of the bigger picture of becoming a successful loan broker. That's at least what I've seen in my experience in the years that I've been working with loan brokers, is that they have all these pieces in place, right? So, and they just naturally have better conversations with business owners when they're, you know, while they're doing their marketing. So, guys, if you want, if you haven't signed up yet, to join Lenders Access, again, you get access to 150 plus lenders. You get one application that you submit. They take that application, they match with everybody in their network. They handle all the application processing, so you don't have to build a lender network yourself from scratch, which takes an incredible amount of time. You don't need to figure out, okay, which lender do I send this file to, whatever. They handle all of that stuff. You know, so head over to lendersAccess.com/agent-registration. There's no cost to signing up. It's just a simple ISO agreement. Let them know you saw the Elite Broker training to get the best commission structure. And you know, I don't know. You know, it seems like a no-brainer to add to anybody's lending business. You know, it just makes sense to me. It's going to save you so much time, so much effort, and so that you guys can focus on the marketing with Elite Broker and building those relationships with business owners. You can submit more applications. So I think to wrap it up, the biggest thing that like next step, Matt, is again, I'd really like to put together that checklist of things for certain products. Maybe we can work on that over the week, and then I'll put that inside of Elite Broker for you guys.
Sure.
And maybe we can email that out.
Yeah.
And then go from there. Maybe next one, Matt, we get you on a training and do some sales training, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. The role play, whatever you guys want.
Yeah, I think that'd be a good. Yeah, I think that'd be a good next training. Yeah, webcam would help. Be a little better, but it's all good.
You don't like
everybody wants to see that handsome face, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
What are you hiding from us for? Right?
Yeah.
All right,
guys. Cool, guys. Well, hey, Kenny, Matt, really appreciate the time, guys. This was awesome. You know, I know we just got started with this setup, but I'm really excited to see where this goes. We're already off to a really good start. Looking forward to doing a lot of business with you guys and bringing this awesome stuff to brokers. Hopefully everybody makes more money, right?
Likewise.
So yeah, really appreciate it, guys. And if you guys have any follow-up questions, just drop them down in the comments, and look forward to the next one. Appreciate it, guys. Enjoy your holidays.
Yeah, thanks, you too, Matt. Appreciate it.
All right, thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.